Now, what I want to do in this session is I want to bring you the reasons why you form toxic relationships, signs that you're in a toxic relationship, and how to break this toxic attachment, or how to create a more healthy version of this relationship. So I'm not really one for just break up. If you are in a situation where you can't escape, perhaps because of financial reasons, because of children, because of shared lives, mortgages, whatever it is, there's no point saying just start again. Perhaps we need to look at ways on how to kind of create a healthier version of what seems to be quite a broken relationship. And so let's get started. Now, when it comes to toxic relationships, there is simply one and only one cause of a toxic attachment. The only thing that causes a toxic relationship, it's not, oh, this person is cheating, oh, this person is abusive, oh, this person is a narcissist. That's not what makes a toxic relationship. There's only one ingredient to toxic relationships, and that is conflicting intimacy needs. Now, what I mean by this is a toxic attachment is formed when one person has the deep, long-lasting need for connection, intimacy, and togetherness, whereas the other person has the need for independence, autonomy, and space. When you have two people with completely opposite intimacy needs, there is going to be embedded conflict. They're always going to fight. They're always going to fight because their core needs in a relationship and in an attachment are polar opposites. One person is needy and wants connection and wants reassurance and wants to build a life together, and they want labels and they want to know where this is going. And the other person likes to take it slow, wants space, wants distance, wants no pressure. When you have these two individuals coming together that have formed an attachment because they may have shared interests, or they may have sexual chemistry, or whatever it is, because their core needs for intimacy are polar opposite, despite their attachment to each other, they're always going to be in conflict. And every single argument the two of these people have can be traced back down to conflicting intimacy needs. So what I'm going to do is give you the signs that you and your partner have conflicting intimacy needs, and that's why you're toxic. Now, the first sign that you have opposite intimacy needs is the relationship feels like a roller coaster. What happens to the person who is more clingy, more on the dependent side, is as you get closer and you get more intimate with your partner, you finally start to relax. You finally start to feel calm. You finally start to, fall in love, and you can finally let your guards down. But as you get more attached, the clingy person starts to get a bit nervous that they're going to be abandoned. The nerves start to set in. For the clingy partner, the nerves set in. Now, for the person who's independent and autonomous, as they get closer to their partner, the panic of being suffocated starts to sink in. So what will happen is the clingy partner will want more of them, and the autonomous partner will want space. So after intimacy, after a really nice date, or after a really nice holiday, after spending lots of good time together, the autonomous person will pull away and the clingy person will pull towards. And so they're going to start to battle. So as things are getting smooth and they're finally feeling nice, what will happen is the clingy person will want more of them. They'll get used to this new smooth, intimate relationship, and the distant person will pull away because they feel like they're losing their independence, and a fight will erupt. And it's usually after closeness. So that is the first sign that you're in a toxic relationship. After periods of intimacy, it's followed by distance, by explosive arguments, or just, space. There is some intimacy and then withdrawal. The second sign that you are in a toxic relationship is that small issues become huge, exasperated fights. Now, what I mean by this is a small thing like, can we go to the cinema, will turn into a 3-day fight. It will turn into a big issue. Or a small thing like, can you hold my hand when we're driving, will turn into an argument all the way home. What seems to be very small will become very huge. Now, the reason why these small things become huge is because their underlying desires are opposite. One person wants connection and the other one wants independence. So every time one person is saying, can you come with me to my work event? The clingy or the more dependent partner is simply wanting connection. The autonomous person is thinking that's too much intimacy for me. So the small requests turn into huge, huge fights. You can't even remember what you're fighting about because it started so small. You'll say it to somebody and think, oh God, I just asked her to, let me know when she gets home, or I just asked him to come with me to my mum's house. Something so small will turn into something so big. That's how you know you've got opposite intimacy needs and you are in a toxic relationship. Another sign that you have opposite intimacy needs is you end up settling for less. What I mean by that is the person that craves closeness will maybe have an argument with their partner. They might say, look, I want to spend more time together. The person who craves distance will get so furious at this request because they feel like, I'm already giving you so much of my time and energy, and now you're asking for more. They'll get so furious and they'll respond with either a huge fight, or by being distant, or by ignoring them. So the person that was asking for closeness now just begs them to be normal again. They will just beg them to go back to the state of dissatisfaction they had before the argument. So maybe you might be upset that your partner is not spending enough time with you. So you mention it to your partner. Now, if your partner needs independence, they'll get so angry that you asked for this time, they'll stop talking to you for a couple of days. So you, as a person who wants more closeness, will now beg them just to talk to you. And when they finally talk to you, they give you drips and drabs of talking to you that you're just grateful that they're talking to you. You're not even thinking about your original issue. So how you know you're entering a toxic relationship is what your original concern was gets turned into such a huge fight that you're now settling for less, simply to get them to speak to you again. Simply to restore the normal level of dissatisfaction, you will settle for less. So if those things are happening in your relationship where it feels like a roller coaster, small thing turns into big arguments, you end up not addressing the real issue because you're just trying to get them to restore normality, then chances are you have complete opposite intimacy needs, and that's why your relationship is feeling more and more toxic. Now, how do you break this toxic relationship? Now, I'm not going to suggest that you break up, because we all know the reality is if you really want to, have a brand new relationship, what you have to do is end this one and find somebody who matches your intimacy needs. If you need closeness, if you need labels, if you need security, find someone that is capable of doing that for you. Or if you need space, if you need independence and you need autonomy, find someone who's capable of doing that to you. That is one option. But if you are planning to stay together and you want to stay together, but you want to stop the roller coaster, this is what you do. The first thing that you need to do is try your absolute best to put your partner's well-being as a priority. Now, couples that don't have a toxic relationship, their partner's well-being is part of their own well-being. If they see that their partner needs intimacy, or if they see their partner needs space, they factor that in. They make room for that in their life. So if you want to resolve this toxicity, ask your partner what they truly want. So if they say they want to spend more time with you, or if they say don't go out, or if they tell you not to, be on your phone for a while, what they're behind that criticism, they have a need. Ask them what their true need is and try and factor that into your mind. Try and bear that in mind. If you can't put your partner's needs at least in your top 5 priorities, then you shouldn't be together. If it is just a case of take me as I am, and if you don't want me, that's your problem. If you're not going to bear your partner's well-being into account, then you shouldn't be together and you should probably break up. But if you want to remove the toxicity, try and place your partner's emotional well-being as a priority. Try and understand them rather than punishing them for having different needs to yourself. The second thing to bear in mind when you're in a toxic kind of connection is try not to generalize the behavior. If you see a particular behavior that you don't like, stay focused on that behavior and explain how you want that behavior to change. If you start generalizing and you start becoming critical and you start becoming abusive emotionally or verbally, that behavior that you didn't like is now going to get exaggerated. This person is now going to enhance that behavior that you didn't like. So if you're saying, oh, you don't spend enough time with me, you don't reply to me on time, you're cold, they're now definitely not going to reply to you. Now, they're definitely not going to spend time with you. So you're not going to get the outcome if you start generalizing. Remember your outcome in mind and focus solely on the issue at hand, and try not to generalize, and don't make it personal attacks. Make it about what you truly want out of them, and try and get them to remember that your intimacy needs are not wrong and their intimacy needs are not wrong, but we have to find a compromise. The final thing I would recommend if you are in this kind of push and pull relationship is try to make more realistic expectations of your partner. Now, if you have a partner who is quite clingy and needs a lot of reassurance, the realistic expectation for you is to realize that they're never going to be this really hyper independent, strong person who can live with or without you. That's just not going to happen. You didn't choose that kind of partner. You chose a partner that requires emotional intimacy. So if you've chosen that partner, you can't expect them to magically become independent. The only way you can create that is by offering them reassurance and connection. And so what that would look like is maybe perhaps saying a few words in the morning and the evening that reassure them. Either like, I love you, I miss you, how was your day? Just some form of connection. Or it might be some form of oxytocin. You might give cuddles first thing in the morning, last thing at night. If they know that's coming, they tend to become more independent. They need connection first, then they become more independent. Similarly, if you are a needy person and you have chosen somebody hyper independent, then it is pointless to expect them to prioritize you and the relationship all day, every day. They're not going to do that. They're not going to put your emotional needs first. It's just not how they're designed. So the best thing for you to do in that situation is manage your expectations. Remember that it doesn't come natural for them to put your needs first, to put the relationship first. They're going to put themselves first. So if you can manage that expectation and then perhaps start putting your needs first and what you want to do in life and try and make room for that and try and make that a priority, you may be able to better match each other's intimacy needs. But having unrealistic expectations, i.e. trying to get the independent person to be clingy or the clingy person to be independent, you're going to always find yourself in a roller coaster of emotions. So just try your absolute best to change your expectations, show concerns for the other person's well-being, and create the space and connection for the other person to thrive. I hope that helps. Thank you for tuning in.